find burnout different in entrepreneurship compared to working in a traditional job setting? Unique challenges does business ownership bring?
Okay, so this has many different layers here from what I've experienced so far.
Mhm.
So let's break down even traditional jobs and then also entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship is you're supposed to go from that employee mindset to the employer mindset.
Mhm.
And then sometimes with traditional jobs, you're more pressure, there's more pressure because someone is putting the pressure on you versus when you run your own company. Then the other piece of it too, and depending on what kind of entrepreneurship, thing that you've got going on, some things don't feel like it's work in a sense, but it's just hard work, if that makes sense. So when I was a waitress, even though that was like a traditional job, that wasn't hard work after a while. It was kind of like driving a car because it was just the same thing over and over again. Versus the marketing role was a little bit different. Now, when you're in a traditional job, your goal is to focus on like two or three things within that company, not marketing, sales, finance, taxes, your employees, getting client, like all of that stuff. So what I tell everyone to do is, yes, you have your skill set, but the things that you can't do, you have to decide again, like what's your opportunity cost of doing that, and then to hire even just a VA at the bare minimum or like a white label agency. So for me, when I got to the point where I was like, okay, um, I'm making, let's say, $150 an hour as an entrepreneur, but for me to make content or for somebody to make social media content for me, that's $500 a month. And if that takes me 10 hours, 15 hours, 20 hours, what's the cost of that? It's better just to say, hey, Ali, I'm going to give you the work and then I'm going to focus on this. And once you take that step off and you give that skill set to somebody else, and they're going to be 10 times, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be better at it. That's how you avoid burnout.
Mhm.
But when in a traditional job, if that's what they tell you you're doing, that's what you're doing. So yeah, I would say there's a lot of layers to that.
Mhm.
And in entrepreneurship, every day is up and down. Like some days I wouldn't even necessarily say burnout, but some days you're gonna have days where you're like, oh my gosh, I just made $1,000 in one day. And then the next day you're like, oh my, I didn't make any money today. So you have to take that into consideration. What else would I say about entrepreneurship and what's unique about it? When you get into a traditional job and you're working your way up, you're stable in a way, but also you're one step away from poverty. That down the line, a business owner can make unlimited amount of income.
Mhm.
But in the beginning for an entrepreneur, you're working those like 60, 80 hour weeks.
Mhm.
So there is that balance. But I think at one point you are gonna burn out or you're gonna get to that point where like, okay, I need to start outsourcing. When you get to that point where you're outsourcing, that's a good thing.
Mhm. So, does the pressure to be constantly present on social media add to burnout for business owners? And how do you manage that?
Okay, this is a great question because as a former social media marketer, all my business owners that I was working with, and when it got to the point where I was like, hey guys, like video's really popular, even now video's really popular. You got to get out there and make videos. And I'm going to give you the scripts. Here's what you got to do. Go film it. I'll worry about editing. And to get people to do that was like pulling teeth because their focus was so many other things. So I'd say it's not only causing burnout, but a lot of people don't want to do it. And now that I'm on this end of the stick, I don't want to do it either because I'm like it's exhausting at the end of the day. Like you can do, let's say and what I try to do is a social Saturday. So Saturday is the day I plan all my content and get it scheduled and it goes out. What I've done to overcome a lot of this stuff, and for those listening too, these are some things that you can implement. It's podcasts like these, because right now we're just having a conversation. You can take pieces out of it, and then you can blast that everywhere. And it's a video, which is going to get higher engagement. So just even out of this conversation that we're having right now, I can extract three or four, minimum three or four good pieces. I
Mhm.
can reuse those pieces. So that means now I already have three pieces for the rest of the week. Then the other thing that's really becoming popular nowadays is the faceless content. So you don't always have to be in front of the camera all the time. There's lots of stock videos, stock images that you can utilize that are trending and popular in lieu or replacement of it. And I would also say, this is the last thing I'm going to say, social media is not the be all and end all. So it is about networking. It's about getting on podcasts like we are right now. Like I do a lot of speaking. You could do like next week I'm going to two networking events. You can do virtual networking events. There's so many other ways beyond social media that you can get there and promote your business and be seen. Re just remember the time that when social media wasn't even here and how we were going out and getting business. We were dropping off cards at the
Yeah.
door.
Going door to door, trying to sell whatever you were selling, right?
Exactly. Exactly. So I would say don't get caught up in it, and whatever you've got, you've got. And if you don't show up today, show up tomorrow.
Mhm. So you said you went through burnout yourself. What helped you to recover and bounce back?
I would say connecting with other entrepreneurs in either a cohort in your area. So what I mean by that is like going to like your local business center. And when you're connecting with people that are going through the same thing, they're going to have the same problems, issues, and their day might be different than yours, but you're going to have the same sort of feelings. It's like a mom group, but for entrepreneurs.
Uh,
And when you're connecting with these type of people, they're all going to go through burnout at one point, and you can all help each other out. I would also say one big thing that really helped me, and especially in the entrepreneur space, is connecting with biohackers. Now, not to say like you need to biohack from like morning to night, but sometimes there's a reason why certain people do certain things at a certain time of day. And it's not going to give you back time, but it's going to give you back that energy. I will never forget my first cold plunge and what that did. It was like, how do
you
I explain this? It was,
did that?
sorry?
You did that?
I did. I did. I actually went whitewater rafting. I had a suit on, but that was like my very first like cold plunge. And the adrenaline that just went through me, I was so awake. I've never felt like that before. And even when I went skydiving, it had like this very similar, like euphoric feeling that I was like, I want to do this again.
Wow, you're very brave. Skydiving? Ooh, not for
I
I
think
admire people who does that because oh my God, I could never. But that's awesome.
maybe in your next lifetime. There you go.
I joke. I last week I went to a woman's gathering, whatever. And so at the end they ask, tell a little bit about yourself, blah blah blah. And if you had to come back in nature, like anything, like a element, a water or fire, or an animal, blah, what would you come back as? Everybody was like, I would be a bird, I would be a lion. I'm like, I want to be a big house, a fat cat or a fat dog, and just sleep and eat all day.
You know what? I'd probably pick that too.
I was just so tired. Been working since I was 14. I'm like, oh my God, can I just like be a cat or be a dog? Like my sister has a dog, and that dog have a way better life than I do, you know?
It's literally a child from beginning to end.
Yep. Yep, yep. You just don't have to send it to college. You don't have to get a seater when you go out. But yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, so how? So I think that you just talk about the support system, right? That would be my next question. Do you have any mentors, peers, or a community that keep you grounded? I mean, I know you said you joined a group of entrepreneurs, but is there like anyone that you go to, you know?
There's a couple. So there's some in Alignable, and actually those are free groups. You can check those out. I do have a mentor. There's some in my local area that I'm part of. So everyone's got like a chamber of commerce. And within that, they do have days where it's more community events versus like passing cards around. So absolutely. And I have different mentors for different things.
Hmm.
So I was on a call the other day with where she's not my mentor, but we were talking about happiness. And I was like, you know what? Like, wow, like the world is just really unhappy right now. Like it's a very interesting place. But absolutely, I think I wouldn't even necessarily see mentors, but you need a cheerleader
Hmm.
and someone to say, hey, like, let's go. Tomorrow's going to be a better day. Here's what you need to do, this, and this.
Hmm. Is there a particular mindset shift you made that helped reduce your stress or burnout in your work life?
I would say setting boundaries is the shift that I made, and also time blocking. So before I used to work till like 8 o'clock at night, so from 8 to 8, and I was on the computer all day, and I was like, that's not so great. And I really felt it at that time. So time block, 9 to, let's say for example, like 9 to 12, I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna do prospecting, and then an hour I take a break. That the next 3 hours, then I go at it again.
Hmm.
But just it's about setting boundaries. That's the most important thing that you're gonna be able to do for yourself. When you're an entrepreneur, there's work and there's life. There's no work-life balance. You got to find out when you're gonna work and when you're gonna go out and have fun.
Hmm.
That's how I look at it.
It's fun because I was just thinking about this boundaries thing, you know. So I started this podcast and I've been telling myself I'm having so much fun doing it. If it stopped being fun, that's why I always say it to everybody. There's no pressure, no pressure. The last thing that I want is to put pressure on you or even myself. And then I was thinking about boundaries, you know, because somebody was on the messenger was like, "Hey, you know, I'm waiting for your reply," and I'm like, "How do I tell this person, hey, I have a regular job. I'm not like a Tuesday through Friday. I'm actually working, and I don't have I cannot be on my phone the whole time." And so I decided that at least every 3 weeks, I'm gonna take a day to disconnect.
Yeah.
Disconnect. I think I need that, you know, and because I used to do that a lot, but now I'm doing social media, I'm doing the podcast, and I'm like everywhere. So I'm constantly on a computer, on a phone, and I feel like I need to disconnect a little bit. So I decided I'm gonna take a whole day. I don't care. At least once every 3 weeks, or at least once a month, take a whole day just for myself. Disconnect. Don't do anything on social media or anything on a computer. Just do whatever I want, whether it's watching TV or just laying in bed or just going for a walk or just going for a massage or whatever, you know? I decided I'm gonna do that because I think like right now I kind of needed that. That's why I made sure I did that today.
And I think everyone needs it. And I think not to bring up religion into the equation here, but if you look at every single religion, they take one day off every single week, whether
Uh,
it's Saturday, Sunday, Friday, sunset, sundown. There's a 24-hour period where they're like, that's it. And they do disconnect. They even turn off the lights.
yeah, yeah, and I'm gonna do that. Even if it's just once a month, I'm gonna take a day for myself to basically do whatever it is that I feel like doing that day, you know?
There you go.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah,
I want to know how it works out.
Yeah, I mean, today was fine. I mean, I was almost late, for a call that I had to do at 4, but I made it. So we'll see. So with all the ups and downs, how do you keep your passion alive for your work do you still do cosmetics, marketing?
I do. I put it on the side for now, but I would say I am working on some other pieces before I get back into cosmetics. But
Okay.
when it comes to maintaining passion, I would say not doing the same thing over and over again helps maintain the passion. I've noticed even when I was serving, after a while, I was like, I cannot do this anymore. It's too repetitive. Doing even just different things within your role. So when I was in marketing, working with different companies or different stories, or whether that's cosmetics or whether that's, um, a home service company, you're tackling something in a different way and you're still trying to solve the same problem, keeps your mind stimulated. I
Mm-hmm.
would also say too, the other thing that I had to learn after I got burnt out was, yes, there's this passion for cosmetics. I have a patent. It's something I'm proud of. But you have passions outside of business. And those passions, when you're doing certain things or activities, will fuel the other pieces because you're in a different state of mind. There's so many times I'm in the middle of the lake and I'm paddleboarding and I get an idea and I'm like, I can't write this note down right now because I'm with my paddle. But so many things come to me while I'm there. And I think it's also very important to also maintain that side as well because it fuels both sides, the personal and the business side. I would also say connecting with industry professionals keeps you on your toes, keeps you in the loop, and keeps you passionate. If you're at home all the time, like even for me, when I go out and I network, I get so excited. I'm like fueled by it. Otherwise, if I wasn't going out, I'd be like, oh, okay, I don't care for this right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Have you found a ways to make your goals sustainable over the long term without leading to burnout?
Yes, doing things that I'm capable of doing all the time and are not strenuous. So, for example, like committing to a walk before breakfast and fasting during that time, that's something that I was able to commit to, which I'm not saying, oh, I'm going to go to the gym today when, let's be realistic, like some days you're just not going to go to the gym. It's very easy to just go outside for a walk in the morning, and whether it's maybe not super cold, but cold or hot, and get it done and just be at mind, you're at mind and peace. What other long-term goals have I achieved? And in terms of burnout, I think the fasting really helped, believe it or not, and having that, um, I guess you can say break between the eating pieces. Um, and then in terms of, I'm trying to think what other long-term goals I have had so that I don't burn out. We've talked about boundaries.
Mhm.
I would say consistency. And consistency in everything. And now when I feel it, or when I feel like, oh, my hands are on fire, stop. And maybe even stop for a couple days so that I can get back to normal.
Mhm.
Um, and I would just say too, in terms of like to get to that long-term goal, it's all the short-term things that you do that lead up to the long term. So again, like the walks, the exercise, how you eat, how you're doing certain things, how you're connecting with friends.
Mhm.
I've burnt out, not recently, but I would say in the last 2 years, that was my last burnout. And I haven't burned out since because I've taken those actions. It comes down to, it comes down back to the biohacking and understanding, okay, like why am I doing a cold plunge for? in the middle of the morning. Why?
Did you
Because
do
it
the cold plunge in the winter? Sorry, I'm just
yeah.
curious.
I did mine in the summer, but I was in Austria
Oh,
and I was
okay.
in the mountains. So at the top it was winter, in the bottom it was very interesting. And then the summer it's or in the at the bottom it's summer. It's like 2 different degrees.
I never been, but I heard it's beautiful out there.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Even in Switzerland, I was just and the whole time I was like that completely different.
Mhm. So we talk about boundaries. What advice you would give other business owner about setting boundaries to maintain a healthy work-life balance?
Again, I would say time blocking and putting
Sorry,
in your
I think I'm repeating I feel like I'm repeating the same questions in a different way. I mean, feel free to say, no, we already talked about this and we can move on.
No, I think I want to reiterate again, but I think setting boundaries in the sense where you're time blocking, I don't think people understand how good time blocking really is because when you time block, you set boundaries. And I think for advice for business owners, you're not an employee anymore. You need to be connecting with your local business chamber of commerce. Your mindset is going to be completely different. Don't give up who you were hanging out with before, but make room for new people to come into your life that are going to grow, help, and support you. And those cohorts through your local area are going to be tremendous, not for even just the financial benefit, because sometimes they have those pitches. They'll say, hey, like, here's $10,000. But sometimes it's, okay, here's $10,000, and we're going to connect you with this person, this person, and this person. It's kind of like going on Dragon's Den, but with your local area.
Uh-huh. Has your definition of success, English is my first language. I apologize. And even though it's 25 years I've been here, it's sometimes it gets me. Your definition of success changed over the years as you dealt with both burnout and achievements.
Oh, yeah. I remember when I first created my patent, I was like, I'm gonna be a billionaire because I think I have this like great idea and it's gonna work out and all this stuff. And I think once you start really, entrepreneurship is not just about working smart, it is working hard. And you have to work hard to learn how to work smart. And at the time, I was like, I'm gonna do all this stuff, like I'm gonna do more and more businesses. And now I'm like, you know what? I worked hard enough. I got to my goals. I'm happy. And then once I burnt out and I realized that health is more important than wealth, and you have to be healthy to be wealthy, that whole experience changed me big time. So I would say like now it's not necessarily the $1 billion goal. I've reached where I wanted to go. I'm going to keep going a little bit more, but I'm happy with where I'm at now.
How do you balance your passion, creativity with the demanding realities of business ownership?
Ooh, how do I maintain? I'll be honest, I don't maintain. I have to outsource some of those things. And I don't have for like the creative pieces sometimes I don't have time for that. I give it to a VA and I'm like, "Hey, I need you to create content on this. I need you to, do certain pieces on this." So, I would say honestly, I don't maintain it. And you'll get to that point too in entrepreneurship where you won't be doing those things. But the only thing I would say is make sure you're always sticking to your brand mission, vision, values, and goals.
Mhm. So, what's next in the agenda for you? Do you have any new goals or projects on the horizon?
Yes, I think for now I want to expand on Schoolie Mitchell. I want to help people save on expenses. In Canada, 150 people and businesses are going bankrupt every single day, and we won't have a future if this keeps happening. So I'd love to be able to work on that front to help more and more people save on those things. And down the line, I do want to bring up my patent back up and resurface it and start creating more of a brand around it and hopefully get it into Sephora.
Have you ever experienced any major setbacks or challenges in your journey, and how did you overcome them?
So when I filed for my patent, it's basically a bunch of panels that are men looking at these patents. And sometimes they don't always understand how certain things work on the cosmetic side, or will say, like products that we use on a daily basis. And I had to keep going back and forth, and it set me back because I'm like, why don't you understand this and accept this? And I actually had to point it out to them that, hey, what is it about this that you don't understand? And they're like, oh, well, we don't use this on a daily basis. I'm like, I know, but I'm trying to get this done. So what's the problem here? And then once I confronted them, then I finally got it. I would also say like financing and financial stuff really holds a lot of people back, including myself. And I think sometimes we try to apply for all these grants, but in hoping that, hey, like we're gonna get like 10,000 here and 10,000 there and all this stuff. And you gotta sometimes have a really good business plan and present that to investors.
Mhm.
And people are gonna say no to you. The guy that started Starbucks was rejected 33 times. 33, and now look where it is.
Wow.
So I would also say too, like get ready for some rejection. I've gotten rejection multiple times. Um, what other things have set me back? And I would say time. And when you don't have a lot of time, you have to say to yourself, okay, I'm getting this loan. Let's utilize this properly. Let's, allocate X amount for marketing. Because if I can do X amount of marketing, this is going to mean X amount of ROI. And that's so far some of the things that held me back, but those are also now my solutions with the second time business round that I would do differently.
So looking back, is there any piece of advice you would give to any younger self-starting out in business?
Do it now, not tomorrow, because the energy levels that you have today will be different than tomorrow. It's kind of like when you first started university or college, towards the end, you're like, I'm done. I can't do all these all-nighters anymore. I'm dead. And I've also noticed this even in the older generations that are in the 60 pluses, like they want to start something and they're just like, I'm too tired. And it's kind of like a diet. Like some people say, I'll start tomorrow, I'll start tomorrow. It's always going to be tomorrow. Start today.
Yeah. So always the procrastination.
Yes.
I'm the
Yes.
queen of the procrastinators. I'm 46, and I mean, I shouldn't say that. It took me a while for me to, I don't know, look in the mirror or look at my life. I'm like, I need to change. I need, do something that I can be passionate about it. And I love my job that I do right now, but like this podcast thing and the social media, I can see being something that hopefully will grow, and I can do more with it.
Oh, absolutely. It just takes time and consistency, but with time and consistency, you'll get there.
That's what everybody's telling me, consistency. Yeah, and somebody told me it takes like a 2.5 years for her to actually do that full time. And I'm like, wow. She's like, dude, just keep on going. Consistency. Consistency. It's funny because we're talking about boundaries, and I just remember this. Because I posted, right, asking for people to be guests on my podcast, and I got so many responses, and it was great. So many that I got overwhelmed. So one other thing that I did for a boundary was I'm gonna limit myself to one interview a week. Because I was trying to do like a two try. I even almost booked a third one in a week, and I'm like, and then I have to edit the videos and edit the audio, send it to the podcast, put on YouTube and everything else. And I have a full-time job, so I'm like, hold on, one interview a week, and I deal with the whole editing and everything else during the week.
You know
Yeah.
what I would even do too? So, because I've applied for a lot myself, I would make like a Google form and make them fill it out, and then all the ones that you're like, hey, we're already set, or we have enough for this time, it'll send like an automatic
Mhm.
like thank you letter.
I thought of that. Yeah, I even downloaded what was the I downloaded something to see if it helped me with that to make a form so every time I get a response from somebody, I just send that, to them and then they fill it up and I get it back. I think it's gonna make my life a lot easier too. Yeah, I have that, but as a procrastinator, I'm like, I'll do it later. Erica, this has been so. I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to say? To the people listening or watching.
You know what? I want to first and foremost thank you, Ali, for having me join today. And if anyone wants to get into contact with me, they can follow me on social at the Erica Jujo. My last name is spelled Giuggio. And if the ones that are listening and they have a business and they're interested in a free audit and looking at expenses, I'm here. I'm your girl.
Yes, yes, you say it. Yeah, you send it all to me, and I'll put a link. I'll tag you when I post it. And just give me like a week or so because I still am editing the interview that I did last week. I have the second part that I have to do. And you're cool with this being on podcasts and social media, That's why I want to do the document for everybody to sign because at the video, I'm like, you're cool, right? So I have their consent in video that you consented, But I also want to do that in a form to make it easier too.
Of course, of course. You're right. There's a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But thank you so much. I mean, you have no idea how much I appreciate that you did that, especially for my little podcast that just started, And I tell this, it's not a joke. I am so honored that you accepted, to do this with me, and I hope you enjoy yourself and drinking wine.
Absolutely. I'm halfway there,
Yeah, me too.
but no, I want to thank you for the opportunity as well. I know how much hard work goes into this and like all the pieces at the end as well, and it takes a lot of work.
Yep, yeah. Hopefully this will go big and I'm gonna be able to look back or reach out to you, say, hey, this went big and hopefully it also will help you in a way and help somebody else who watch it and that they're burnout or going through something and in some way if we can help somebody, we've done our jobs, I feel.
Absolutely, absolutely. And vice versa too. Like if there's anybody that you need me to get connected you to, like to be honest, I have a lot more people on my LinkedIn. Let me know.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Thank you so much. I hope you're having a great weekend. I hope you have a great Sunday tomorrow and we'll keep in touch and thank you, thank you. You have no idea if I could give you a hug or send you a bottle of wine, I would do that right now, but thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really, really appreciate this.
No, thank you so much, Ali.
Thank you. You have a good one.
You too.
Bye.